I will talk about the recent changes in our language policy in schools. The Philippines. Oops. Okay.
Everything was working fine before the audience came.
Yeah. Okay. The Philippines is among the most linguistically diverse country in Asia. We have more than 170 languages. Hence, the name of our NGO is 170 plus Talaytayan MLE. Talaytayan means bridge. The Philippines was colonized by the Spaniards for 300 years and the Americans afterwards. For decades, the languages of instruction were English and Tagalog after World War II. But Tagalog was introduced after World War II. But in 2009, we shifted to mother tongue-based multilingual education through a series of policy measures. What is MTB-MLE? Usually qualify that it starts with the mother tongue. So we call it MTB-MLE, not just MLE. So it refers to the use of more than 2 languages for literacy and instruction. It starts from where the learners are, what they know, and from this means learning to read and write in their first language, or L1, and teaching subjects like mathematics, science, health, social studies in their L1. So MTB-MLE removes barriers to school participation. It creates a safe and child-friendly environment. It gives them a voice. It makes learning meaningful and challenging. It engages the community. It is cost-effective, especially that it eliminates dropouts. It opens windows to various reforms. Okay. Social educationists would theorize that dropout is caused by the discontinuity between home and school. There is also the notion that the school is a sorting mechanism that reproduces larger social structures, including social inequities based on ethnicity and language. And so, for example, in the Philippines, the notion of beauty is associated to being fair, having a tall nose, someone that looks like an American or Spaniards. And this notion is reproduced in school as the school chooses their muse. The muse should be somebody who looks like an American, someone who is fair. And so the school, in this way, is instead of becoming a change agent, is reproducing the existing social inequities. And so it's the same way with language. The English, the national language, are valorized in the broader society, and they're the ones that are used in school. A World Bank report states that the world's out-of-school children live, 50% of the world's out-of-school children live in communities where the language of the schooling is rarely, if ever, used at all. There's research, recent trends in the US show that dropping out is caused mainly by school-related factors. In the past, these were caused by the pull factors, like the children wanted to work, they wanted to do other things. But recently, the school-related factors are becoming more pronounced as the reason for dropping out. And these school factors relate to school attendance, the language of instruction, the discipline. And so you can imagine a child, a 5-year-old child who enters school for the first time. He faces a multiple burden if his language is not used in school. He learns to read and write for the first time. He learns to read and write in a language that is not familiar to him. He learns the school culture. He has to raise his hands when he has to say something. He has to ask permission when he has to go to the bathroom. And so all these things are happening in a life of a 5-year-old child, and it makes school a very unattractive, unwelcoming place. And so when he drops out, he is faulted, that the school would say that he is lazy and he doesn't want, his parents are not supportive. When in fact, it is the school that is causing all this, the problems, the barriers that keeps him from staying in school. There are studies that show that MLE reduces repetition, as mentioned by Kirk earlier. Among the Filipinos, we implemented MLE about 4 years ago. Most Filipino teachers report that MLE lessens absenteeism and dropping out. We had several experiments in the past that used the local language from 1948 to year 2012. And all these experiments, these were short-term experiments, all of these experiments show that learners who learn in their mother tongue outperform learners taught in English-only classes in all subjects, including Filipino and English. They learn their L2 better, they are active in class, the community is involved, and of course, the dropout and repetition are lessened. There were several proposals to use MLE or to use the mother tongue since 1900. The first Filipino teachers complained that children could not survive in an English-only environment. The dropout rate in the early 1900s in the Philippines was 80%. And yet, the proposal to use the mother tongue was not accepted. They did not prosper in the Congress until in year 2009 when DepEd order, Department of Education, issued Order 74, institutionalizing MTB-MLE. So now in 2013, another law was passed. This is Republic Act 10533. MLE is now part of the K-12 curriculum. It somehow made MLE a more, it made the policy more lasting and more established. And so MLE is implemented in all 43,000 government schools. As of 2015 August, schools reported that there were 212 languages and dialects that are used in schools. And the government provided initial funding to 19 languages, a mix of small and large languages. And it has caused a lot of stir in the Philippines because the teachers had to shift, not just the language, but the materials. Imagine if you're an old teacher and you have this set of materials in Tagalog, and you are now to produce the materials in the mother tongue. So the challenge given to the government before this policy was passed is they should structure their language and education policies around learning and inclusion, not on dated political post-conquest agenda. We know that the present schooling system is very rigid because it was patterned after the Prussian model in 1800. And the objective then was to create control, to control the population, the newly colonized areas. And so the post-conquest agenda was so strong, there was a push to choose only one language. But now it's the 21st century, so there's a need to shift our policy, to design our policies around learning. So MLE was passed because of an MLE-friendly president. Our president right now, Benigno Aquino, included MLE as one of his campaign promise. And so it was rapid because he had only 6 years to implement the whole thing. We don't know if the next president would embrace MLE, and so he had to make sure that MLE would be established in our system. That's why they developed the policy in 2 to 3 years. On his 3rd year, they implemented MLE all over the country. So it was a dizzying experience for many of us. So here are the components to make MLE work. There should be research, advocacy, mobilization, policies, working orthography, training, capacity building, materials development, monitoring, and evaluation. And these components are being, are working in a nonlinear fashion. Especially advocacy, it should be something continuing. So this is what happened in the Philippines. How did we make MLE, a reality? The advocacy was very strong. It was a multi-sectoral, it included a multi-sectoral engagement. The ones who were involved were people from Congress, the policymakers, people from universities did a lot to advocate for MLE, people from NGOs like SIL, Ministry of Education officials, not the whole ministry, but individual insiders in the Ministry of Education help us a lot. Local writers in the mother tongue, teachers, private individuals, including private companies. So we had forums. We traveled all over the country for 2 years, speaking in every university to talk about MLE. We had a conference. Sheldon was there in our first conference in 2010, where 1,000 people attended. We were surprised to see the enthusiasm of teachers, scholars, and they presented their studies in that conference. So it somehow mobilized and consolidated the people who implemented MLE in their own areas. We produced materials, like we had the 21 Reasons Why Filipino Children Learn Better in the Mother Tongue. We also had another book, MLE essays and other advocacy materials. So there were a series of articles printed in the newspaper like this one. And we had blog sites. We had to make our own blog site, our own FB groups, our own Yahoo groups. So we used technology a lot because it was cheap and it's accessible. Filipinos love, to use the internet. So it was a good thing because people from different ideological persuasion participated in that advocacy. There were people who were pro-national language, pro-mother tongue, pro-English. The thing that somehow gelled us together was the danger of passing the English-only policy. That time, there was this congressman who was trying to pass the English-only policy, and this was supported by the president at that time. And so that policy proposal somehow brought us together. And so we participated in writing the policy, and we just gave it to the Department of Education, and they just implemented it. We found that people from the Ministry of Education are very, supportive, as long as they know that there are people in various sectors who would support them. So the policies, we have several policies. It includes all the components of MLE. It is non-restrictive. It says there's no limit on the number of mother tongues that to be used, unlike in other countries that they identified only a number of mother tongues. And it requires contextualization and localization of materials. It means we should use local content, local cultural content in the materials. There are supporting policies, at least 16 policies on teachers training, pedagogy, local funding materials, language mapping, monitoring, learning assessment. Teachers who speak the mother tongue are given more points so that they are accepted, new teachers. There's a policy on contextualization information system. So each child is tagged, which is also good for controlling dropout. So we know their mother tongue. A school would report on the mother tongues or languages that they use. Well, the weakness of our policy is that it only includes 4 years use of mother tongue from kindergarten to grade 3. So it's like an early exit, but it includes a transition from grade 4 onwards. We fought so hard for a 6 years long use of MLE, but we had to negotiate for a 4 years plus transition. There's also a privileging of Tagalog and English. Now, the teachers training that we did a lot of teachers training. We've trained the trainers for 40 days. And then we had mass training for teachers at the regional level. So it was at a cascading type of training but they had to attend 10 days of training. We had simulation. The training would include a workshop on making primer, big books, teaching aids. Later on, CMU produced a training video, which is very useful. During our training in the past, we tried to simulate a classroom, but it was so hard. So through this video, CMU captured what's happening in the classroom, showing how teachers can move from L1 to L2. The Department of Education also introduced the idea of a school learning action cell where principal would train their teachers once a week in using these new materials. Now, if you visit the school, you would see that teachers are complying. They comply and then they complain, but they still comply. And what's advantageous about the Philippines is that our teachers are all professionals. So they're able to produce materials on their own. They produce big books. They use digital technology. It's a blessing that we have this now. They don't have to depend on the printing press. They work with the elders. They hold contests in the community for writing stories, song, poems. And they create a structure for quality assurance. And if you visit an MLE school, you would be encouraged to see that the class is very communicative, the affective domain is very strong, and the environment is, there's so much challenge, higher level of abstraction. You would see here that the multilingual and meta-learning capacities of children are activated. So there's a meaningful discourse. The children use rich vocabulary, complex sentences. There's use of humor because they can easily make jokes. There's word of endearment. Children would say, "Teacher, you don't love me anymore. You don't call me when we recite." So it's very natural for them to express words of endearment. There's questioning, and it's spontaneous correction. They don't take it serious. I mean, they don't sulk if they are corrected, and oftentimes students would correct their own teacher. There's confidence and less anxiety. Like teachers would say that in the past, students would be very tense that they would soil their pants or wet their pants, but now it's not happening anymore. You would see teachers, principal doing advocacy using PTA meetings. What did DepEd, Department of Education, do? They provided materials to all schools. They provided a curriculum guide to all teachers, a reading primer in 19 languages, teacher's guide. This teacher's guide contained lesson plan, assessment, illustrations to be used, there's worksheets. And these are provided in printed form and digital copy to be downloaded. So here's a reading primer. So they would, each language would show what sounds to be taught first, the sequence of sounds to be taught. And each sound is taught through a story. The Department of Education also provided teacher's guide. It's a detailed lesson plan. And these are uploaded in the LRMDS. Anyone, even you can open this link. And each division schools also have their own online repositories. Teacher education institutions like University of the Philippines and other normal schools are helping a lot. So they formulate courses for undergraduate students teaching in the mother tongue. Some schools, not all universities. One university created MA in multilingual education. So they create reference materials for teachers like these two materials, MLE primer, dictionaries are created by TEIs. One TEI produced readability software. They use MLE in their laboratory school. They organize forums in their areas, teachers training conferences. We just had our conferences last week. Our third conference on MLE. They provide technical support to the Department of Education. In fact, the one who is leading the MLE implementation is our former dean. So she's a reading literacy expert. So she's the one running the program, and she's theorizing how to shift from L1 to L2. So it's valuable. Their help is very valuable. They do research projects like this one in our university. We had collaboration with AusAid and University of Melbourne. This is a 3-year study. If you visit that material, they did a nationwide study on MLE implementation in various language contexts. So their findings are very insightful. It tells us how MLE is happening in smaller languages, in larger languages. And lately, the local governments are helping. We found out that schools, parents refuse to use their language in school because they think that their language is not worthy for academic discourse. So there's so much resistance. They think that it might deprive their children from learning English. And lately, there are a few local government who are providing the support for the popularization of mother tongue, like this one in La Union. They hold rap contests, battle of the bands in the local language, singing contests. They required businesses to use the local language in their billboards, even in their cakes. Now you see cakes that they have printed in, the icing is in the mother tongue. They produce Scrabble, games for the youth in the mother tongues. And this famous restaurant, had to use the mother tongue. In the past, they could only use Filipino and English, but now this restaurant had to use the mother tongue. So they produce the local language code. It's quite an extensive local policy. So they want to communicate that these local languages are important. They want to increase the valorization of these local languages so that teachers would find it easy to introduce it to their children. There are also online communities like the Wikipedia. In fact, the Wikipedia site that has the most number of articles all over the world. Number 1 is English, number 2 is German, number 3 is Cebuano, a Philippine language, and number 6 is Waray-Waray, another Philippine language. So in the Wikipedia, college students are the ones who are uploading their term papers, their materials using the local language. They also have like this Ibaloy. Ibaloy is a cultural minority group. It's an online community. They produce a book, as a book of poems that teachers can use. And then in Google, the Cebuanos work that Google will include Cebuano. Here are our concerns. We need to do more advocacy because many teachers are complying, but they have not embraced the whole thing yet. They have to know more. We need to do research on transition model from grade 4 onwards. To do research on cross-linguistic transfer, you have to strengthen this. Teachers training on these particular topics. We have to handle issues like, how about classroom with many languages, our orthography? How can we produce MLE-friendly pre-service teacher education? And to do continuing research on other issues related to pedagogy and materials. So in closing, let me quote the UNESCO Director General. She said, "Mother languages in a multilingual approach are essential components of quality education, which in itself the foundation for empowering women and men in their societies." Thank you. Agyamanak. Maraming salamat.